We're now recording. Yay, we've got it. Again, welcome back, my friends. I do hope you enjoyed your breakout session. Please remember we are recording each of our sessions, including this one, so you may access any sessions you might have missed. You'll hear it through, for any folks who are just tuning in, I will definitely introduce myself. I'm Carlton Walker, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as president of the National Organization of Parents of Blind Children, the NOPBC, a proud division of the National Federation of the Blind, the NFB.
2:05 p.m. 2 notifications.
You'll hear it throughout the week because it's true. We really are a federation family. I'm sorry, let me go back. I will now be presenting our NOPBC Presidential Report. It's titled "The Best Reality Show Ever: Real Families of the NOPBC." You'll hear it throughout the week because it's true. We really are a federation family. This conference and convention are our annual family reunion. You may have already participated in a virtual or a socially distanced family gathering this year. Just like many large families, our federation family also often meets in different groups, as well as with the entire clan. Groups of individuals with similar interests gather in the NFB in divisions. The NOPBC is one of the 24 divisions of the NFB. We also connect with NFB members through our state affiliates and our local chapters. No matter how many or how few conferences and conventions you may have attended in the past, we are thrilled to welcome you to the 2020 Federation Family Reunion. I attended my first NOPBC conference and NFB convention in 2006 in Dallas, Texas. Before that time, my child's blindness didn't seem exactly real. Sure, Anna Catherine was getting some Braille services. They were minimal, and the TVI was really pushing the CCTV magnifier, even though this child had to work alone in a corner because that's where the outlet is. That TVI, teacher of the visually impaired, was also very firm that Anna Catherine did not need a long white cane. So I attributed the frequent trips and falls as a genetic continuation of my lifelong clumsiness. In other words, the school was treating Anna Catherine as a sighted kid, but one that was somewhat broken because the child couldn't see that well. In essence, Anna Catherine was living the life of a virtual sighted person. In Dallas, my family found our federation family, and we found reality. With the knowledge we gained and the support we received at the NOPBC conference and the NFB convention, we learned that Anna Catherine did not need to be a virtual sighted student or a virtual sighted person. We learned that with blindness skills, Anna Catherine could emerge from a virtual life into reality. While that TVI and other teachers wanted to keep my child in the virtual status that was comfortable for them, our family experienced a taste of a much better reality, one in which Anna Catherine would develop the skills needed to make decisions based on Anna's dreams and not on artificial barriers necessitated by a virtual education. Coincidentally, only a few months before my family's first NOPBC conference and NFB convention, a reality television program, The Real Housewives of Orange County, premiered on television. Now, The Real Housewives of Orange County is about as far from the reality of my life as is fathomable. In fact, I'd wager that none of us live the extravagant, pampered lifestyles depicted in all of the Real Housewives shows. No, our realities are quite different. Instead of hours-long margarita-fueled lunches, we have hours-long angst-filled IEP meetings. Instead of tearing down other parents on camera, We support and lift each other up in our Facebook group and our listserv. Instead of lamenting and denigrating the accomplishments of others, we burst with pride and celebrate their victory as if they were our own. We are the real families of the NOPBC, and we live the best reality show on earth. It's been a little more than 1 year since the end of our last family reunion conference in Las Vegas last July. It seems like we packed a lot into that year, doesn't it? As we returned home from Vegas, we were prepared for school in the fall. Real families of the NOPBC ushered their children into elementary school. Early elementary school focuses on literacy and early mathematics. Our families faced real crises. Students' Braille skills lagged far behind what they needed to fully access their school curricula. Some schools continued reliance on poor vision, but our families know better. We know that a child who cannot read the extra large print in kindergarten without magnification or exhaustion will not be able to keep up, because every year that print gets smaller and there's a lot more of it on every page. The real families of the NOPBC leaned on one another as teachers infuse educational technology into almost every activity in earlier grades and in more activities. We help each other understand that our children need to know how to access an iPad non-visually and how to use a computer without needing a mouse. We call on our Blind Adult Federation family members to help us know what is possible, and sometimes to teach these essential non-visual access technology skills to our children so that they may unlock the worlds of information and entertainment their typically sighted peers enjoy. As fall settled in, the real families of the NOPBC continued to thrive. We shared fun fall activities to do with our children, and we discussed ways to make family activities inclusive and fun for all. From creating tactile graphics with leaves and wax crayons, to making apple pies from scratch without using any vision at all, our children developed both competence and confidence in themselves and their abilities. Halloween brought a wonderful and motivating opportunity to practice independent travel skills. After all, running around with your friends and getting free candy is pretty darn fun. The long cane helps to make it possible. Thanksgiving break brought family gatherings for many. Sometimes our extended family members do not understand what we know is true. Our blind children are children first, last, and always. We leaned on one another when well-meaning relatives attempted to protect our children. Our Federation family helped us gently remind relatives that our children are capable of joining in family activities and in age-appropriate activities, including clearing the table. Holiday gift-giving time brought challenges to many who asked, what is a good gift for a blind child? The real families of the NOPBC and our Federation family reminded us that our children are children first. Instead of looking for blind child gifts, we must first examine the child. Music and books, toys and games, crafts and athletic equipment, musical instruments and electronics, gardening and woodworking tools, all are appropriate gifts for blind children. Once we know the particular interests of a blind child, you can bet that we'll have a long list of great gift ideas for that child. The holiday break from school proved challenging to some of our families. Some schools made their students leave their access technology at school over the break. For many, this meant limiting access to books and other information sources. After all, the local library often isn't too accessible for our children. We helped parents advocate for bringing technology home over school breaks, and we shared resources for accessible games and for free Braille books. We all celebrated the new year of 2020 with great expectations. In January, Federationists gathered at our national office in Baltimore for training for our summer education program, Braille Enrichment for Literacy and Learning, the NFB Bell Academy. In February, Federationists from across the nation gathered in Washington, D.C. to make sure that our congressional representatives understand the crucial importance of accessibility for blind individuals of all ages. These involved early mornings, late nights, and long days of hard work, and were far, far more meaningful and fulfilling than any of the indulgent jaunts of the Real Housewives have ever been. Now, of course, March brought some surprises, some interesting times. Well, you know the saying, may you live in interesting times, is a centuries-old curse. We did and do live in interesting times, but we will not allow ourselves to be cursed. All of a sudden, businesses and schools were closing. Students were sent home without their necessary access technology, and some schools were openly attacking students with IEPs as the problem, keeping them from providing online educational opportunities to non-disabled students. Suddenly, it appeared that years of progress toward inclusive education would be wiped away. But our Federation family did not let that happen. The real families of the NOPBC sprung into action. We shared the multiple and frequent information updates from the United States Department of Education, as well as guidance on what they meant and how they impacted blind children and their educational rights. We shared resources, both long existing and those that became available as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. We welcomed new families and provided them the information and assistance they needed. As Lilo noted in her Disney movie, family means no one gets left behind. We, real families of the NOPBC, also took advantage of the accessible online gathering tools. NOPBC hosted 2 Zoom series, plural, this spring, Fabulous Fridays and What Do You Want Wednesdays, that grew into What Works Wednesdays. In addition, our parent division in the Show Me state hosted the Missouri Parents of Blind Children Seminar on Zoom during the NFB of Missouri Together at Home convention. Throughout our existence, our NOPBC families have been scattered across the nation. We know how to keep family ties strong over the miles. Our Federation family remained hard at work as well. The National Federation of the Blind developed a wealth of resources, including the NFB distance education resources, offering activities, how-to videos, Braille storytime videos, and interactive lessons using non-visual skills. NFB also developed a COVID-19 resources page that included valuable education resources, such as a guide to the guidance every state Department of Education provided to its schools. Because we shared with the national office that many families were coming to us saying that they were receiving false information from their local school officials. As you know, COVID-19 still impairs our ability to safely gather together. While many schools and agencies curtailed their educational offerings, NFB committed to offering NFB Bell Academy this summer. So NFB Bell Academy in-home edition was born. 6 two-week sessions will serve hundreds of blind children and support them in Braille and other non-visual skills. 2 sessions remain open, and each will take place weekdays from July 27th through August 7th. One from 11 a.m. until noon, and the other from 6 to 7 p.m. all times Eastern. Like all students in our country, many blind students and their families labored mightily to obtain access to some level of education from their schools during the third and fourth quarters of the 2019-2020 school year. But their work did not end there. Toward the end of the school year, the College Board, an agency that administers many high stakes tests, including the SAT, the PSAT, and Advanced Placement AP exams, flouted federal law and refused to provide hard copy Braille and hard copy tactile graphics to blind students for their advanced placement examinations. Again, they were trying to roll back the decades of progress we have made in the area of access to educational materials. When a high school junior from New Jersey, Kaylee Brindle, who will be presenting at our NFB General Session on Friday at 3:20 p.m. Eastern, brought this matter to our attention, the NFB quickly mobilized our advocacy resources and enlisted the assistance of Brown Goldstein Levy LLP, a nationally recognized experts in disability law. We truly made a federal case out of it and filed a complaint against the College Board with the United States Department of Education Office of Civil Rights, OCR, on behalf of Kaylee, 4 other blind students named in the complaint, and all other blind and deafblind students who were registered to take AP exams from the College Board in May. Before the end of the month, the complaint was settled out of court on terms providing meaningful access to hard copy Braille and tactile graphics for all students wrongly stripped of this access. No, it's not the table flipping antics of some Real Housewives episode. We know how to flip something far more important: discriminatory actions that threaten to rob us of our hard-won civil rights. While many slowed down as quarantines and lockdowns drug on, our Federation family and the real families of the NOPBC did not stop to rest. In addition to our distance education resources, NFB Bell Academy in-home edition, and sustaining and bolstering our families through the ups and downs of regular life in a COVID environment, we had a conference and a convention to plan. And here we are. We are so glad you have joined us this week at our family reunion. We look forward to getting to know you better this week and continuing our relationships throughout the year. The Bravo television network may keep its Real Housewives franchisees. We are living the best reality show ever. We are the real families of NOPBC. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm hoping to, I'm not able to look on the list. I'm hoping that I will call forward our young student and young adult panel. We have the pleasure of hearing from 3 of our students. Please welcome Trisha, Kulkarni, and to Jennifer, our NFB host, please make them co-hosts. Trisha Kulkarni, who is pursuing a computer science undergraduate degree at Stanford University and who serves as a board member for NABS, the National Association of Blind Students, the student division of the NFB. We also welcome Precious Perez, who is pursuing undergraduate degrees in music education and vocal performance at the Berklee College of Music. Precious serves as president of the Massachusetts Association of Blind Students and is a member of the NFB of Massachusetts affiliate board. We also welcome Qualik Ford. Qualik is graduated in the class of 2020 at Parkville High School in Maryland and the Maryland School for the Blind. Qualik serves as president of the Maryland Association of Blind Students. Do we have Trisha, Precious, and Qualik, and are they unmuted?
Hi, I'm here. It's Precious.
That's precious.
Haven't found Trisha yet. Got the other two.
Oh, hi, Qualik. You're there?
I am here. I am here.
Yay. Okay. Precious, would you, since you're older, I mean, I'm sorry, but we could say beauty for age, but you're beautiful and you're a little bit older than Qualik. So would you share with us what you really, how you've grown, what NFB has meant to you, and how, frankly, you are continuing to shine and soar, even with all of the interesting times in which we live?
Thanks for that. Absolutely. So I actually got involved with the Federation when I was 15 years old. It was, I think, my second state convention, and the president of the student division just kind of said, well, I'm stepping down. Who wants to be president? And there was silence in the room. So I just went, okay, I'll do it. And I've essentially been president of Massachusetts Student Division ever since then. I attended blinding summer programs in 2017. I'm on the Performing Arts Board, and I'm involved with Massachusetts as of right now. And NFB has really just kind of showed me that I am capable of doing the things that I want to do. When I was younger, I was lucky enough to grow up with all of the services and things that I needed, and I was surrounded by a wonderful team who encouraged me to advocate and showed me what it meant to do that. And NFB really just strengthened that philosophy and showed me how to apply the philosophy to my own life and to the things that I'm doing. So I am currently pursuing a degree in music education, and I'm also a performer. And my goal ultimately is to be able to educate not only blind students, but sighted students in a mainstream setting in the public schools, and really use my diversity and the different communities that I represent, because I'm also Puerto Rican. I also come from low-income background and all these different things. So my goal is to use all of the avenues that I have and the voice that I do have to represent all of my communities, and to really inspire the next generation and teach the next generation that they can do whatever they want to do. And that's ultimately my goal. And it's something that's really important to me and that I have a passion for, because I think there are a lot of stereotypes, as we know, still very prevalent in society. And I want to use my gifts that I've been given and my opportunities that I have to abolish those stereotypes.
Well, if you guys want me to go second, I can. Precious, that was great. So yeah, my name is Qualik Ford. I am the Maryland Association of Blind Students president, as well as being on the committee for the World Blind Union North American Youth Leadership. And I did graduate from 2 schools. I'll get into that in a second. I was a senior class president at Maryland School for the Blind, and I've just gotten a lot done over a very short amount of time, and a lot of that is contributed to the NFB. I've been technically a federationist my whole life, on and off. My dad, one of the big leaders in Maryland, Sharon Manecki, literally regaled me with the story of how after I was born, my dad brought me down to the Juringen Institute to show me off. So I'm sort of an NFB baby, but I got out of it for a while because of family stuff. I was also born into a kind of low-income situation. And so once I hit high school and I kind of got back into the Federation, I just started taking off. I started looking for, leadership positions and looking to grow as a student and as a person. And I just kind of saw how students around me viewed themselves, and I didn't like it. I didn't like how they thought that they were lesser than their sighted peers, and I didn't like it how they thought they couldn't do all the same things. I had a student once tell me, she was a friend of mine. She told me, well, I don't think I can have a kid. And I was like, why? She was like, well, because, I was trying to feed my cousin and I accidentally put the bottle up to her forehead and not her mouth. And I was like, yeah, but that's a mistake. If someone would have taught you how to do it, you would get it. Like, and it's scary that sometimes that the pressure from other people around you can sometimes lead you down the road to thinking that you don't have the skills that are necessary to grow. But it's a very wrong thing. Like, it's not true. It's completely not true. There's so many blind students, there's so many blind people who are constantly growing as people and who are getting things done and who are making waves in the blind community. Even on my own board, my secretary has her own nonprofit. Like, I think that is completely awesome. And she does work for blind students all over the country, giving out assistive technology. And, my one of my vice president has been teaching at Bell for years and stuff. And so I think that's really important to realize that there are so many blind students who are doing things, and we just need to be given the tools that we need to grow. And so I was given those tools a lot, and I had a lot of people looking out for me and helping me grow and mature as a person. And so, I just finished high school. I'm actually going to the Louisiana Center for the Blind in August, on August the 4th. I just got that information like 2 days ago. So that's really exciting. And I'm really psyched about it. Another way to really refine my blindness skills. And as I, push into college, and I eventually want to become a teacher of the visually impaired, but I want to get it from Louisiana Tech because they follow the structured discovery method that we all prize. So I'll be really a teacher of blind students. And, that's important to me because giving back to the community that's helped build me up so much is so important to me, and making sure that students that I'm involved with and students that I'll get to meet understand that they can do a lot with their lives. They can go skiing and go to space camp and learn about astronauts and airplanes and stuff. And there's just so many opportunities for blind students. So that's kind of my goal in life, is to definitely push that narrative and push for change for everyone in the blind community.
Hi, everyone. This is Trisha Kulkarni. I am so sorry I'm running late. I was having a bit of technical difficulties. But are we just doing introductions, Q? Or?
Yeah, you are. Just, giving your life story a little bit and telling like what the Federation's done for you and what's your kind of future goals and stuff.
Awesome.
So
yeah, so my name is Trisha, like I said, and I am originally from Dayton, Ohio. I lost my vision unexpectedly in 7th grade, and throughout high school was navigating the IEP process, learning Braille assistive technology for the first time. And it wasn't until I was a scholarship winner in 2018, right after I graduated high school, that I first heard about the National Federation of the Blind. And really, my life has transformed since then. It's crazy that it's only been a couple years, because I truly feel like this has been my family. I serve as a board member of the National Association of Blind Students, and it's been an honor to serve as the legislative and self-advocacy chair for the past 6 months. And I've had the chance to work with Carlton and really empowering students to not only be advocates for themselves, but also for other students who might not have the resources that we are so lucky to have as students in this organization. Where I am in school, I am a rising junior at Stanford University studying computer science. I honestly don't know how I'm already a junior. I feel like I just started, but I really want to use my technical knowledge and the leadership and resources that I've been gaining through being part of NABS and the greater NFB to impact people in whatever way possible. I don't fully know what that looks like yet, but yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you all. Now I can talk, yay. We're so happy to have each of you here. We only have a few more minutes, but if you, I'll let you decide which question to answer. I'm going to pose a couple. What would you tell your younger self 5, 10, 15 years ago? You're also young, 5 or 10 years ago. Or what would you tell your parents? Then not that they've done horrible things, but you're all awesome. So obviously they've done a great job. But what would you have told, if you could go back in time, 5 or 10 years ago, what would you tell yourself, or what would you tell your parents, or both? Qualik?
Yeah, okay. So I'll do mainly the second one, but I'll do a little bit of the first one. I think it's funny because I grew up with 2 blind parents. And so in theory, that was a very ideal situation. But I think my mom had a hard time adjusting because the 2000s brought in a lot of new things. And from 2010, honestly, to now, there's been a lot of revolutionary changes. And, even before then, technology's just advanced and stuff. So I think it's been hard for her to kind of understand, like, that things are different for me. And I understand that is hard. There's definitely a learning curve there. And so having conversations with her actively to make sure that, she does understand that those things are different for me. And that, like I have to can grow with the system. Like I have to grow with time, learn how to use this new technology, learn how to be a proficient at screen readers, and take advantage of all things, and also, help her. And so I definitely would kind of push that. So, I'm definitely, I could say it was definitely a lot more easier than I've heard, from some of my peers that it was growing up and not having any blind parents, because I know that's difficult. But I definitely appreciated that, she had some knowledge of the blindness field, but just giving her that boost to try to expand her understanding a little bit and open-mindedness. And then the second thing is I would definitely tell myself that I just need to be very active, and not like physically active, although I am very much involved in sports and stuff, but more like just get myself out there, go to these events. The NFB and the student division on a national level has so many things. Like, I really think that NFB took off for me when I went to my first ever Southeastern seminar, for that, was hosted by NABS. Like, I think that was huge for me. I realized that there were all these young leaders that had all these things going for them, and it blew my mind, and it sent me like into this path where I was like, I need to be like them. I need to grow. I need to make sure that I'm getting everything I need. I need to make sure that I'm, handling my business. Trisha mentioned the modules for the Legislative Self-Advocacy Committee. Like, I was a part of that, and just learning more information, just, things that I really wish that I had back then, but just taking off and getting involved is honestly the biggest advice I could give myself at a younger age, just because that is honestly what ended up changing my life for the better.
Thank you, Qualik. Thank you so much. Precious, Trisha, you can't arm wrestle for it, so whoever calls out first.
Sad.
I know, right? So I'm gonna go with 5 years ago, just because I don't remember what my life was like when I was 11. So I was 17, and I think at that time I was terrified of college because I didn't know what to expect. I was terrified of like, what's next for me? Like, I know I have these goals, but I don't know how I'm going to achieve them. And I think for my younger self, having dealt with being underestimated all the time, not even just because I was blind, but because of the pitch of my voice or other things, and Like people just look at me and think, oh wow, she's just this like happy-go-lucky, you know, cute little girl. So dealing with all of that, and now looking back, I think I would tell myself, you know, you're going to do more than you think you're going to do. Just give it time. Pursue the things you're passionate about. You know, lean on the people that support you, both in the Federation and your family and friends outside of that. And just really believe in yourself, because that's the biggest gift you can give, is when you believe in yourself, even if other people don't, you have the power of will to succeed. And I think that would be something that I could really listen to and move forward with.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Precious.
Trisha.
Oh, Trisha. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Golly, I'm bad. Sorry.
All good, all good.
Trisha.
I would say that in my experience, like I said, I lost my vision later in life, and my parents and I were fighting furiously to try to get my accommodations sorted out, getting my standardized testing sorted out. And under the circumstances, I do think my parents did everything that they could have, in the sense that they had me starting learning Braille and assistive technology and O&M and etc. But I would say the biggest advice that I think applies to parents and students is independence does not mean that, even though the goal is independence, it does not mean that you have to fight these battles alone. I think if my parents had known about the NOPBC and other resources, they could have spent their energy so much more efficiently and had more time to help advocate to fix the system, rather than just fighting for me day to day. And I think that's something that I also had to learn the hard way. Was at that time I wasn't ready to really connect with other blind people. It was a difficult time in my life, but now as I've connected with so many students, I think I realized that even though you can be independent and you can prove yourself and do everything you want to do, sometimes you just start at a higher point if you learn from the collective knowledge of our organization.
Thank you, Trisha. Fabulous. And thank you to each of our student panelists. Don't we have a pretty fabulous Federation family, my friends?
We do. We do.
Absolutely. Okay, now we will hear, let me see. Sorry, let me get to. Now I have these three young people are definitely living proof that blindness need not separate anyone from their dreams. We just need to bottle them up and share them with everyone we need to. Now I have the pleasure of introducing the First Lady of the Federation, our Twig Award winner, the NOPBC Conference Director, NOPBC Board Member, and my dear friend, Melissa Riccobono, to give us the inside scoop on all things convention, the Convention 411.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
You must be able to, because I hear myself echoing. Do you want me on video?
Your call.
Okay.
Live the life you want.
I'm gonna turn it on. You have to tell me though if I look okay or if you're seeing the ceiling. Oh, you're gonna see my hand for a second. Oh, hold on. Are you seeing anything?
No.
No.
That's okay.
Touch ID.
Now we're seeing something. Yep, we see you. You're sideways. You are very, very. Okay, there. I was going to say.
Okay, now I'm better.
I know your girls are great gymnasts. I see where they got it.
Yeah. Crooked. All right. Is that gonna work?
If we stop, just a little bit lower. I'm seeing the light.
Lower. How's that?
A little bit lower.
Lower.
And just a smidge more, and then we'll be good. Perfect.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Great. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. I am going to just talk very briefly because I know that we are almost to the time that we need to go to our other sessions. And this is just jam-packed. And I'm so excited that all of you are joining us for this first virtual convention. And, you know, it's hard not to hear the reactions from all of you, but I am just so glad that I know that you're there because I hear my phone saying that everybody's joining. So welcome. I just wanted to talk really quickly about the National Convention of the National Federation of the Blind because we and the NOPBC have a lot of activities, and I hope that you have had a chance to see our agenda, to see all the great things that we are offering, and I hope that you will join us for all of those things. But there's a couple things, actually 3 things that I really want to highlight that if you can, I think you should definitely do. I'm sorry, 4 things. So the first thing is, oh, sorry, 5, okay. Really quickly. The first thing is our presidential suite. The presidential suite is a place to meet members of the National Federation of the Blind from all around the country. It's also a place where you might have the opportunity to see President Riccobono and talk with him. If you have a message for him or would like to make an appointment with him, that's where you would go. Also, you can leave a message for me there if you'd like to. And I will certainly be stopping in, not anytime today probably because I'm going to be with you all already, but certainly throughout the week, I will definitely be dropping into the presidential suite. The hours are up on the NFB agenda, and so please go and look at those and don't be shy. The presidential suite is there for a reason. Please make sure that you stop in, and it is a place where you will be welcome. People love to hear from your kids, so whatever you'd like to do, please feel free to go there. The second thing is our board of directors meeting, which is tomorrow afternoon. That is really our very first general session. And people often sort of get confused. Well, I'm a parent, you know, what kinds of things do the board of directors have to do with me? Or what kinds of things do these general sessions have to do with me? If you look at the agenda, there are so many things that are so important for you and for your family to learn about, particularly in our actual general sessions. There are so many speakers that will give you so much information and that will really help connect you to what the National Federation of the Blind is and what we try to be and what we try to do for others. And so I really just hope that you can join us for the board of directors meeting and for all of our general sessions, which will be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Also our banquet, wonderful, wonderful event. You can have the meal of your choice, but there'll be a wonderful speech by President Riccobono. There'll be our scholarship winners announced, our Jacob Balatin Award winners announced. So our banquet is a really wonderful event. So please feel free to join us for those as well. The other 2 things are our resolutions committee. This is one of my very favorite things about the National Federation of the Blind. We, through our resolutions committee, make policies for the organization. And the committee votes on the resolutions first, and then all the resolutions are brought to the floor, and the whole convention has a chance to discuss them, to vote on them. These are things that are really important, again, for your family, either right now or for the future. I know right now we have a resolution that's going to be considered by the committee, which talks about apps such as Raz Kids, Epic Books for Kids. These are great apps for sighted children, but there's no way that a blind child can access these with a Braille display. And even though there's an audio option, audio only is not literacy, particularly when you're talking about children in the early elementary years, which is basically what these apps are used much for, is in the classrooms of these early elementary years. And so this is a resolution that we're saying, hey, companies, we see you, we see you're not accessible, please talk with us. Please, let's talk about this and let's make these apps accessible. And so that's just one example of something that you might hear about in the resolutions committee. So please feel free to join the committee. If you can't, the resolutions themselves will be up on the website and you can look at them, and then on Saturday afternoon, I believe, they will be discussed. And so please feel free to join that committee. Very last is our exhibit hall. Of course, it's different. And we are not able to be together in person, but we do have sponsors, we do have exhibitors. If you haven't already, please download the Crowd Compass app. Download the app from the App Store or the Google Play Store, whatever store you have, or I think you can download it even on your computer. And the thing that happens is you will need to have a code, and that code is NFB 2020. And once you put that code in, you'll be emailed a verification code, and then you can see the whole agenda. You can see all the exhibitors, and you can, go to the virtual exhibit hall from that app. And it's pretty amazing. I just downloaded it this morning, and I really recommend that you do that as well. So there's a whole bunch besides what we're offering with the National Organization of Parents of Blind Children. There is a whole National Federation of the Blind family. The other thing is, the other thing that we really need to remember is that there is the National Association of Blind Students, and there's many other divisions, blind lawyers, blind educators. All these groups would love if your child, even if they're very young, thinks they want to be a teacher or a writer or a lawyer or a counselor. They should maybe go for a little bit, check it out, at least talk to the division president, whatever it is, because these are places where your children can get connected and can gain blind peers that are either doing the same things that they're doing or doing the things that they'd like to do in the future. So thank you very much. And I really hope to see you not just at our events, but all around the convention this whole week.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing this great information with us. We will now break again, and we'll enjoy our second set of concurrent breakout sessions, which will begin in 10 minutes at 4:00 p.m. Eastern. I will go through the list and where breakout rooms are and the IDs. Before I do, however, please join us back here for family game time. It's a drop-in activity, but we'll be here from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern. We have some great ideas and want to hear from you too about how to make games, what games are already accessible, and we'll be able to have some breakout rooms if people want to play some games, which is kind of fun to do at a game night. Then at from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern, we will have our family open house again. That's a drop-in activity. We'll be here and would love to get to know you a little bit better. For our concurrent breakout sessions, which begin in 9 minutes, we have another 5 more great sessions. First, it's all about that Braille, the power of the Perkins Brailler, which will be presented by NOPBC board member Sarah Erb. Yay, Sarah. It's going to be in this room. Zoom meeting ID 471-527-4444. It's this room. So if I mess one up, that's the one I should mess up, I guess. The second one is, again, I like to move it, but this time practical and fun ways to include cane travel skills in everyday life, even if you're stuck at home. Will be presented by the incomparable Kristen Sims, a teacher of blind students and certified orientation mobility instructor, NOMC. She actually took my husband on his first cane walk, which was amazing. Thank you, Kristen. That's what sold it for him. The Zoom meeting ID is 985-6574-6504. Tech Talk will be all about screen readers and will feature the awesome Chancey Fleet. She's president of the NFB Assistive Technology Trainers Division, one of our other 24 divisions, and serves as the Assistive Technology Coordinator for the New York Public Library. The Zoom meeting ID for Tech Talk, all about screen readers, is 999-6406-8849. Our fourth session will be counting sheep. No, we're not that tired yet, but we're going to learn about ways to help our children get a good night's sleep. From Dr. David G. Ingram, he is a physician and a professor of pediatrics at the University of Missouri Kansas City School of Medicine, as well as an adjunct assistant professor of psychology at the University of Missouri Kansas City. The Zoom meeting ID for Dr. Ingram's session is 994-1471-5837. And lastly, but certainly not least, we will hear again from the wonderful Melissa Riccobono, and she will talk about socializing. Let's socialize, the importance of and techniques for teaching your child gestures and common and popular dances. The Zoom meeting ID for that session is 944-1095-0022. So I will run through this much more quickly this time. One more time, the next session starts in 6 minutes. The first one, all about that Braille, the power of the Perkins Brailler with Sarah Erb. Zoom meeting ID 471-527-4444, this room. Second is I Like to Move It, practical and fun ways to include cane travel skills in everyday life, even if you're stuck at home, with Kristen Sims, Zoom meeting ID 985-6574-6504. Tech Talk, all about screen readers with Chancey Fleet in Zoom meeting ID 999-6406-8849. Counting Sheep, ways to help your child get a good night's sleep with Dr. David Ingram. Zoom meeting ID 994-1471-5837. And let's socialize, the importance of and techniques for teaching your child gestures and common and popular dances with Melissa Riccobono. Zoom meeting ID 944-1095-0002. Again, I look forward to seeing you back here sometime between 5 and 10 p.m. I'll be here the whole time, and for family game night, followed by parent open house. Take care and see you soon. Enjoy the session.
Okay, Casey, you should be all set. This is Suzanne, the host.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Okay, friends, we're going to get started. I am Casey Robertson, an NOPBC board member, and you are in the room for It's All About Braille, the power of the Perkins Braille writer. This is one of my favorite subjects, Braille, and I love it. So we have Sarah Erb with us today. She is a wonderful parent of a blind child, and she's also an NOPBC board member. And she's going to be talking to us today about the power of the Perkins Braille writer in this session. It's all about Braille. Just a few things before we get started. This is being recorded, so if you don't feel comfortable with being in a session that's being recorded, you're more than welcome to log out right now. If you find this session is not the one you're supposed to be in, you can log out and have full autonomy about going to which session you would like to have. Also, if you have questions, if you could direct them to me in the chat box, Casey Robertson, then I can get Sarah's attention when it's question and answer time. If you need to raise your hand, if you're on a cell phone, you can do that by pressing *9. If you're on a computer, you can press Alt-Y, and you can also Command-Shift-Y. There's also a little More section in your Zoom app that you can go to More, and it will allow you to have different reactions or raise your hand there. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Sarah Erb and let her share her knowledge with us.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Nice to see such great numbers here on our first virtual Zoom. All right, I wanted to kind of see what our demographic is of people who are maybe really familiar with the Brailler and or maybe are newer. If we could just maybe, you know, shout out how new you are.
Sarah, we have a few in the chat that say that they're pretty new at all of it, even Braille writer, they're pretty new at it.
Okay, so we've got a Brailler, the Perkins Brailler here. There's a couple of different colors they come in. I'll just describe this for those who might be not tuning in via video or might not be sighted. So I'm a sighted parent of a blind child, and she's 6. And when we learned she was blind when she was a baby, part of our coping mechanism was learning how to Braille. So what we started out doing before we had a Brailler was just practicing with a little Braille card that we got from her teacher for the vision impaired through the early intervention program. I didn't grab one today, but we just used our fingers for like .A and did kind of a muscle memory. So I'm holding my fingers up, just the 3 middle ones, pointer, middle, and ring. And we just practiced by pressing like on the table or on our leg or something with like going through the whole alphabet, just practicing that muscle memory. A, B is .1 and .2, C. So that's how we started out. And by the end of the day, we were good to go as far as learning the alphabet, the Braille alphabet. And then we got the Brailler, and we were so excited to Braille all of the books that we had collected because she's our first child. And now when I look back at those books, I find all the errors I made, but it's okay because it was a big thing to be able to provide accessible and that even though she wasn't reading yet, but make sure that she knew the importance of literacy and that we valued that in our home for her. So we still don't have all of our books brailled. And I don't think we will probably for a long time, but we've got a good portion of them. And we kind of signed up for a lot of the free book programs for kids that need Braille, will be Braille readers. And so now we've got probably 50 to 75 just in ones that have been given to us. I don't think we've paid for a Braille book yet. So as far as being new to the Brailler, most states, I think most, if not all, should give you access to borrow a Brailler for the school year. I know ours does, and we have a couple actually on loan here at any specific questions, we can address those in just a few minutes. So I'll just kind of go through the Brailler and go through the kind of the labeling. So if you're facing the Brailler, that would mean that the keys are toward you. And I've got the 3 keys on the left, 3 keys on the right. We're organizing it so that sorry. And then you can just kind of, load your paper. On the left-hand side, there's a little wheel underneath that you need to make sure that the paper the levers are up. And you're loading the paper either direction. You can do landscape or portrait, but that little wheel needs to be on the paper so it can track it. And then you're gonna spin your little, the wheels on the side. So the lever's up when you're loading the paper. Wheels are all the way forward on the Perkins. And then letting your paper kind of grab. It's not going to kind of start your first line. You're gonna wind it up so that you're all the way flush. Sometimes it flips through when it doesn't catch on that little metal edge inside to start it. So you'll just start it over again. But if it flips through, and like some of the label paper will do that, it'll come out the front. So you can just kind of readjust it as needed. So don't start typing right away. You want to actually press enter first, and that kind of sets your line to begin. At the back of the Brailler, you'll find 2 of these little margins. And so it'll alert you with a little bell when you get within a couple of spaces of that. So you could set your margin tabs for how large you wanted your columns, if you're doing columns, or if you just want to have it notify you when you're getting near the end of the paper. So there is a little tab above, and I think you can just kind of set it whatever works for you. So we'll set it to this paper, and then as we're going through there's the carriage and then the embosser head. So I'm turning the Brailler a little bit towards, so if you were facing on top of it, it would be kind of this view. And we've got the embosser head, which is controlled here by the carriage. And you can kind of bring it back to the left-hand margin. You can kind of set it wherever you want. You can also use the space bar, which is in the center. Left-hand key, so there's the 6 keys for your 3 fingers on each hand. And you'll want to make sure you're not pressing the space bar at the same, like you're just pressing just the keys. So if you're having a kid play with it, it's totally fine to play with it. You're just going to kind of monitor them and make sure that they're, being gentle with it and whatnot, and you're modeling the proper use. And I think kids will do fine. A lot of things we did often when our daughter was little is we would say what we were doing as we were doing it. So she's getting that because she wasn't seeing what we were doing, but she was definitely hearing that. I said, I'm pressing .1 for A, and just labeling that and modeling kind of what we wanted her to do. So we would, braille her name, and then she would just start kind of fiddling with it. And so she got really excited about braille at an early age, which was really exciting for us because that's our jive. So take a quick moment and look through the chats for any questions.
Hey, Sarah, we also fixed it where they can unmute and ask questions. And
That's great.
then that way they can ask them directly to you. So you guys are able to unmute yourself and ask questions.
Super. What are some things that I was wondering, kind of with the folks that are here, what are some things that you found as barriers for you? Or anything do people not have access to a brailler? I'm assuming everyone has access to a brailler then. If you don't, reach out to your state affiliate and they can help get one in your home. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, a family member, you can register that through the child, I believe, and get access. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, I'm Scott, and I haven't used a brailler in quite a while, but I still remember how to use it. And how could you get one?
How could you get one? So
Yeah.
you're talking about are you a parent?
Yeah, like I know there's places where you can get from, like whatever state you're in, I guess, or you could purchase one. Or how expensive are they now? So they're like $600.
Yeah, I think they're about $750 to $800 for the metal Perkins brailers.
Like
that
a
are
new one?
a little bit. Yeah, you can also buy them used. You can also look for ones that have been refurbished. I know they are often, because they get so much use, they're often being, repaired and whatnot. So you can look for one used as well. They've been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
So there should be plenty to go around.
And then there was the older ones, and then the newer ones came with the different roller, different carriage roller to roll in there, roll the paper in there.
Yeah, there's a smaller knob and a larger knob.
And
so
I don't know if the School for the Blind are still using those.
They are, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so we still have quite a few at our School for the Blind, and they're available to all children up to age 21. So I'm assuming it's similar to those in other states. So if you have a child, I'm quite certain it's only available for children. It's up to age 21. But if you're a teacher, so if you're an individual who's blind or visually impaired or have low vision and you're an adult, like over 21, I don't know of a resource for that. You could probably, reach out to your local NFB and see if there's someone that you could borrow one from, or see if there's anyone who's selling theirs.
Yeah, I know some states they will loan it to you or something, as long as you
sometimes, yeah.
Like what state are y'all in?
I'm in Utah.
Oh, okay. I'm in Texas, so.
Okay. Yeah, I believe Texas, any student. So specifically for students is what I'm referring to. But you can definitely get your hands on one as well. Some states have accessible technology funding that they can help you get one as well. Not to say that there's not other ways to make Braille. I love my full page slate and stylus. That's
I have a slate.
But fantastic. So my favorite uses for the brailler would be, we do a lot of accessible games at our house because I grew up loving games and I want my kid to be able to enjoy those with us. So we use the Braille label sheets and then just cut them apart. So I'll make, kind of a guide for games for the different
different cans of food or something.
Yeah, there's all sorts of labeling.
Yeah. And they have that label material, or you could just use the Braille or the index cards.
Yeah, the best I've seen is the thermoform. And that is, it has kind of a plastic backing. It's cheaper than the label paper that is sold at APH. And we can post those links here by the end and on this recording for the American thermoform.
and you can buy that per sheet. If you don't have access to, if your child doesn't have access, which most children should have access, and from what I understand, that it's part of the resources that the child has access to. So you could ask your child's TVI for label sheets as well, because that's a consumable that should be provided, even for leisure reading.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Thanks, Scott. I'm going to mute you for now. Thanks. What ages are the families or the parents that are here? What ages of children are you representing?
Hi, Kylie's 11 years old.
Kylie, I saw you on earlier.
Yeah, Kylie's
Yeah,
on.
I didn't know. It's for kids, I guess. But so I'm 40. I'm an adult, so
Super.
I just
Yeah.
I'm Scott again.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, let's see if we can get you on.
So my name was Alan. I had no idea it was for kids. However, I'm just a huge supporter of the use of Braille. So I'm actually glad I came here.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan.
Okay, stay.
Sarah, we have a question in the chat box that says, sounds like you picked up on the Braille alphabet pretty quickly. I always thought it would take a lot of time to learn. Did you learn to read Braille too? And how long did it take you?
So I learned to read Braille. I sometimes like to practice just to humor myself that I think it's attainable for me to read Braille with my fingertips, but I'm not there at all. I can read it pretty well visually. But that's only come, I think, in the last year, because my daughter and I have been, she says, well, I'm not going to read to you unless you read to me. So I've been saying, okay, I'll read to you. So rather than me getting a twin vision book, I've been challenging myself and using some of the books that are only in Braille. And that's been helpful for me, because I'm like, oh, I just kind of started doing it one day, and I've been picking it up pretty well. I'm maybe slower than my daughter is, but that's okay because I'm a work in progress on that. So that's fine with me. So I don't think it took a lot of time to learn, just doing it every day, just staying consistent. Talita, your child is 4. Do you have a Brailler in your home?
Hey, now it's a mood. Actually, I'm from Brazil, and I was wondering if you'd be a good tip about to buy a label maker. I don't know if you know if it would be a good thing to improve the literacy about my young daughter. I don't know.
Yeah, labels are fantastic. Doing labels, you can do labels not just with a label maker. The ones that I am aware of that we have here, we have a Dymo tape labeler. There's also slates and styluses that have a little groove that you could slide label tape into. And I think I like the slate and stylus better, honestly, than the labeler, because the Dymo labeler, I haven't used a different one yet, but it's more time consuming and it's a little bit finicky. So I prefer just to use the Perkins Brailler and then cut if I'm doing a bunch of labels, I can do it, a full sheet, double space them, and then cut them apart easily. And then I can have my kid help me read them. And so we can kind of do an activity and go around the house and label things together, which has been fun. Or I can practice my skills at reading what I wrote and edit to make sure that they're correct, which is always necessary. So I would say, if I was going to put the money, I would go to a slate and stylus first, because that's super easy. You can carry it with you wherever, make Braille for your kid wherever. the brailler, obviously not so portable, but super helpful in your child just being proficient and confident in making and creating Braille, and then having that automatic, feedback right away. Being able to reach up after they're done with that line and saying, this is what I created, this is awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. So one thing that I love about having a brailler in our home has been that we can write little messages to each other. So oftentimes Maeve, she's been getting into the point where she's making like little pictures on the brailler. So she'll make a grid and then, you know, make a game or something out of it, or make shapes, and then fill in her like rectangle box with a message or something. So she's practicing contractions. So she'll write like capital I space and then whatever she wants to say. Right now it's like, I love you. It's everything she writes is I love you, because it's easy and she knows she can do it. But so she'll like cut them apart after she makes her little lines, her little boxes, and then she'll take the Braille paper out, she'll cut them apart on like around those lines. And that's been super fun, just to let her play, do it all self-guided, and just enjoy the power that she has to make tactile pictures, tactile messages. And then of course she likes to glue them to like a popsicle stick or something and say, I made a sign for you, and come and deliver it to me and her dad. So it's just fun to see that play component is definitely present with the tools that we have available. And it doesn't have to be all work and no play. So if you're looking into, you know, getting that kind of bridging past the alphabet, once you get that kind of down, I mean, there's a certain amount of brailing you can do with just the alphabet, but then when your child starts to read grade 2 Braille, which I think is recommended from the get-go, just learning those contractions so that they've got all the contractions down by second or third grade. And then they're reading uncontracted from then on, where our daughter's in 1st grade and she loves contractions. So this is a book that I picked up from the NFB's Independence Market. It's called The Handbook of Braille Contractions. And it's a really nice way of just presenting the contractions alphabetically. And it's not really intimidating as learning all of the different, the symbols and the Braille contractions, because it's done by letter. So it has print, it's a twin vision, has print on one side. And this is kind of what got our daughter excited about it, because it's all organized by letter. So this is the C page. It has can, and then it shows all the different contractions that begin with C. And that's been a really nice, this was under $10. And you can get that from the Independence Market that is at the NFB. They do phone orders, I think, only right now. And they just opened back up again, I believe. So this has been an awesome tool for us. It's published by the American Action Fund, which is housed at the Jernigan Institute in Maryland. So kind of a fun tool. And just like if she doesn't want to read a book, she'll pull this out at night and say, I want to read my contractions book, and choose 2 pages to read. And so it's telling you, it does the whole word written out, and then it does it in the contracted form. And so you're getting both of them right away. And I'm learning as we do it as well. So that's been nice. The paper that we use in the brailler is recommended to use 90 pound, which is pretty much just cardstock. You can get that from your child's school as well, providing, you know, they have an IEP and everything in place. If they don't, then talk to your special education director and get that going. But they should be able to get you paper as well. And that's should be a consumable in most states, I believe. So you can use whatever color. Oftentimes they use like a tan oak tag paper. So whatever color doesn't matter, obviously, but some people find it's easier with, I think, a colored paper or that lighter color rather than in white's okay too. So as far as the different purposes that we like to use the brailler for in our house, Like I mentioned, accessible games, making things accessible, whether it's cards or doing cards like card games, or whether you're making gift cards for people. Our daughter loves to help with things like that. So that is a fun one. You can just load any gift card into the brailler, as long as you've got that under the edge, under the margin, under that lever, you're good to go. And you can, type whatever you want on those cards, and then let your kids send, braille mail to friends or family members. And you can also encourage them to, send mail back. So that's kind of fun. What are some favorite things that others like to do, things that they've found really helpful with having a brailler at home for their family? How about we start with some younger kids? Daryl, I'm going to pick on you. Daryl Hilliker, can you unmute and just tell us what has been helpful for you guys with your
sorry about that. I do you hear me now?
I do.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. We have 2 kids with no childcare because of the coronavirus. So yeah,
we hear
you. So sorry about that. I was been in and out. As far as what's been helpful, I have to say, so Alyssa has a lot of sight, even though she's learning Braille. And I'd have to say that's been an uphill struggle, because for the most part, she's not interested no matter what we try to do. I don't have very much encouraging to say. We've done a lot of things. We've done the labeling things, routine, and we did that, and she can see the print, and she is interested in the print. Allison and I are both blind. And yeah, Alyssa, I can't think. I'm sorry. There's your water. Okay, so the thing is that we've tried a lot of stuff. I think the times that Braille does work for her, if it's presented in a very sort of colorful way that she thinks is fun, then we can get something. She knows about 7 Braille letters. She's 4.5. She knows about 7 Braille letters. She could write her name on the Perkins Brailler. Yep, you're 4. Yep. She could write her name on her first name on the Perkins Brailler. I'm not sure that she can now, to be quite honest. We probably haven't been doing all the things that we maybe should be doing all the time. Some days we're just focused on keeping everybody safe and alive. So I don't know that she could do it now, but we had reached that point where she could at least do her name on her first name on the Perkins Brailler. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be as encouraging as I can be. I really am. It's just been a difficult slog for us, because
I think that's I think that's pretty common, honestly, from what I hear with other parents with kids with some vision, with decent usable vision. Hold on. Yeah, thanks. And because they've got access to print as well, and all the other kids are using print in their classrooms. So it totally makes sense.
Kylie loves her brailler. Kylie got her brailler when she was 5. She has a struggle with language and sequence. The brailler taught her how to write. She writes every day. She loves it. So she knows all her contractions, and she's getting fast. I figure she's going to make a great court reporter one day.
That's sweet. I was going to go back.
It helped her with language. Was most important was putting things in sentences in order. So it helped her a lot with development.
That's really cool. Yeah, language is huge, and being able to have access, I think, is huge for our kids to be able to, pull up to their desk and say, oh, this is, as accessible to me as a pen and a paper or a pencil and a paper or crayons is to a kid who is sighted. Yeah, so just I think for us, it's been important to keep it at her level, and for her to know that she doesn't need to ask permission. We kind of modeled those early steps of, being gentle with it and being careful with it. And when she was little, letting us carry it to wherever she was going to set up her station. And now she's just good to go. She grabs it down and makes whatever she wants with it. And then most of the time puts it away, sometimes doesn't, but making sure that they know that it's theirs and they've got ownership over their literacy is been awesome for us. I wanted to go back to what Daryl said about his 4-year-old and how it's been a struggle. I think that's a lot of other families are going through that as well, especially when you've got a child that is learning both. And yeah, so it's okay to struggle, but knowing that they have that support and that they can reach back out to you when they're saying, hey, this large print isn't so large anymore or whatever, just knowing that you've got their back, and that you are gonna be able to support them every step of the way in their learning. I mean, it's probably unrealistic for your child, Daryl and Allison, to be fully Braille right now, and we just have to follow their lead a little bit, on that as well. So I think she's going to be okay, but I can see how that can be frustrating when you've got Braille everywhere in your home and your child isn't always wanting to, as excited as you are about that. Anyone else want to share about any things that in their household that they've found have been helpful, or a struggle with using the Brailler at home? And maybe we can kind of brainstorm a little bit on different ideas to make it kind of fun for kids.
Here we have in Brazil, we have the sound O and O, and the way to write it's different. So we need to put an accent below the O, and there is another code in Braille to represent it. So it's very difficult because I know in Braille the letter O, but it's another code to the letter O. So my struggle with my daughter is to know this difference in the codes in the Braille, because I know the basic alphabet, but there is a lot of others codes to teach her, and I need to learn, right? So that's my struggle. And I don't know if there is a phase about my daughter, because she is avoiding to answer me. So she passed the finger in a number, for example, a number 3. She knows that's the number 3. But once I asked her, she said, I don't know, Mom, but I know she knows, because if I say something wrong, she correct me. No, Mom, not it. So I don't know if it is a phase. It's her way to. I don't know if it, someone else experiencing like something like that, but that's my struggle with my daughter, is the answers and the letters and the codes different. So
sure. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I haven't thought about accent marks for a while. That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, you do what you got to do, right? You guys will figure it out, I bet. And it sounds like you're pretty resourceful between the two of you. The name of the contraction book is Handbook of Braille Contractions. I'm sure there's other contractions books too. This one was just kind of nice. It doesn't give all the rules, but it does just itemize them by letter. So Handbook of Braille Contractions. It's number, if you want to type this in the chat, Casey, it's LSA, L like Larry, S like Sam, A like Apple, 28B is the item number through the Independence Market. Yeah, it's $10, so not too bad. I'm sure by the end of the convention, you'll have a nice little list of decent resources that are available for the Independence Market, so you can consolidate shipping. For those of our kids who have come into Braille maybe a little bit later, like not so much those early childhood years, I wanted to see how things have been going for them in your household with having a Brailler and access to a Brailler. So hopefully, you know, our kids also have access to refreshable Braille displays, but how have you been using the Brailler at home with the older kids? I'm wondering if Susan, if you don't mind, Susan Harris, if you don't mind hopping in. I know your child is a little older than some of the other ones we've been discussing. If you wanted to hop on and tell kind of how your guys' experience has been. It's optional, you don't have to. Anyone else with an older child?
Sarah, I don't know if you know better, but I was wondering about the refreshable Braille and if it's a substitute, a replacer of the Perkins Braille machine, or it's other thing you think it needs to be the both, the Braille machine and Perkins machine, and the refreshable Braille, the display one, I don't know. Or if you have the refreshable, you don't need to have a machine.
So we would do both, honestly, just because there's totally different applications. So a child could use, or a parent could, you know, send an email really easily. So you can create with the refreshable Braille display, you can create that electronic file using the input, and then you can also read the electronic file using the display. So totally different applications. This is going to be, your Brailler is going to be for your hard copy Braille. Hard copy would mean, you know, instead of print, hard copy, you're going to get the paper, print, your own hand, doing it by hand, Braille at home. So whether it's paper you're using or labels, different applications, but you know, by the time your child is probably in kindergarten or first grade, definitely look into it so that you're exposing and providing space for accessible technology. I mean, this is accessible technology as well, assistive technology, but it's just a little bit more low tech. So.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
Carmen Davis.
Hi, Carmen.
I'm from Florida, and I just wanted to say I don't have children, right? I mean, my son is grown, and he's sighted, but what I wanted to say, I went blind as a child at 11 years old, and when I was 12, I learned Braille, and I wanted to say to the parents, they're here, that it's so important, even though, you know, you can use technology and all that. I use technology myself, but I keep a Braille writer next to my computer, and it's just so important to learn Braille. And I think that even if the kids can reprint, if they're legally blind, it's good for them to know Braille.
Absolutely.
It's helped me a lot.
Great. Did you grow up in Florida?
Yes, I grew up in Florida. Yes, ma'am. And I was so happy when I started school, and I miss writing a lot back then. I'm in my 60s, so anyway, the thing about it is that I was so happy when the teacher let me take the Braille writer home, And so I would write and write, and it's helped me with my spelling. It just, you know, like I said, technology is very important, and I use it every single day. But when technology wasn't available, I was able to get jobs and work from home and using Braille, reading the messages to the owners of the company and all that. So I know we live in a different world now, and technology is very important. Both things are really important to me, technology and Braille.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say that to the parents.
That's awesome. Yeah, we need all the support we can get, but it's nice to hear your story and to hear that, you know, no matter where we are, we've got that support, and getting, you know, someone on board to support you as well while you're going through that. Whether, you know, you're learning as a teenager or an older child, yeah, those resources are definitely available. Florida and everywhere else over in the country. And I know there's others, you know, from out of the country as well that hopefully, I don't know what those laws are there, but hopefully we've got that support as well within the family and outside of the family to get your kids those resources that they need. Go ahead, Susan, and unmute yourself if you wanted to take a turn.
Hi, Sarah. Hey, thank you for welcoming me on. Hey, so yeah, as you know, Isabel's, well, she'll be 14 now, come in December. So her journey has been a little bit different than normal. She's been blind since birth, but we've had to become real deliberate with some of her training. We've had some challenges with her school districts and TVI, and so we just kind of jumped on the bandwagon and knew that Braille was very important for her to be successful later on in life. And so when I say deliberate, we started very elementary level with just some tennis balls and a muffin tin pan, and that's how she learned how to really read the alphabet. And then we just kind of gradually grew from there, and what they weren't doing at school, we supplemented at home, and now we're up to about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, even during the summer, practicing reading, just because she doesn't get a lot of that reading time at school. You know, they push her as more of a visual student, so we've been more deliberate here at home. Lists and routines are very, very important for Isabel, so we focus on just going to the grocery store. A couple weeks ago, she helped put together her own list. We were able to get our hands on an Orbit reader, so it's very compactable, and she was able to take that with her and, you know, read her groceries list while at the store. So lists and routines are very, very important, but technology in general is the key to her success, and she's using that technology right now, a part of the student division for the convention this week. So
that's
we're
awesome.
Just proud of her.
Yay.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's not easy when you're having to kind of retrofit our children's education in a different model that you saw the school, you know, choosing for them. So
right,
yeah,
right.
You guys are living to tell the tale of a success story. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, another cool little tool. So these are just kind of some examples. This was done by Maeve's O&M instructor. So she gave her a, sorry, let me turn my video back on. So this is just a Braille, paper Braille only, and then our O&M instructor gave her at the end of the year, she said, over the summer, Maeve can make brownies, and this is the recipe. So it says, it's all contracted. So it says, do you like brownies? And then it has each step of the instructions. So it was like a brownie mix package. And then she brailled these instructions for her. So the goal of that lesson was to go in and find everything in the kitchen by herself, and then mix it all up together by herself. So that goal of independence, and just approaching it in a really fun way to make her an accessible recipe, first of all, and then, you know, using the Brailler to create that. Just different games you can do around the house are super fun, whether it's using like ordinal directions or hunting for something in your house, a lot of times we'll make little games and do little clues on Braille cards. We can do them in, contracted on the first line and then uncontracted the next line or something. So she's learning both. So yeah, don't hesitate to just let your kid even practice. And even if it's scribbling, that's totally fine. It doesn't have to say something when they're little or even, older. It's okay that it doesn't have to be correct. At the beginning, just getting that in place so that they've got the skills that they're learning, whether they're typing, like the correct form is important, but even if they make errors, we don't stress about errors too much as we're doing it with play. So if she's creating something, I just am celebrating that she's creating and doing it independently, and not stress so much about errors. A lot of times she'll make a list. If I go grocery shopping, because I don't take her to these days, over the summer I've just been going alone, but she'll make a list out of everything I bring home, and then she'll post it on the fridge and say, okay, this is what we have this week for our groceries. And that's been super fun. And she's just kind of phonetically spelling it however she spells it. So it's been kind of cute and kind of fun to see her just find different applications as well. So just kind of brainstorming. Here's a cool tool. It's called the Taptilo. I think this runs about $9 or $10 as well on the Independence Market. It's one little cell, Braille cell. So this is kind of how we practice when we're outside of the house. So if I'm driving or we're heading someplace, I can use this as I'm holding it up with my hands on either side like a Braille cell. So I can press the little dots to make a Braille cell, and we can practice the same that you do the muscle memory for the actual Brailler with this little tool, because you're typing it like you would on the Brailler. So your hands are facing, your fingertips are facing each other. So as if they're oriented on the Brailler, just they're facing toward each other. And so you can practice either the slate and stylus this way by pressing it from the back, or you can practice typing like say a full Braille cell or a G using the same fingers that you do on the Brailler. So this is kind of a cool tool as well, that you can practice all of those little skills and work on that muscle memory. Because for us, I think everything was muscle memory for the Perkins, and then just getting faster the more you practice and work at it. So I think our time's mainly up. If there's no other questions, we can give a minute or two for anything else that we didn't maybe cover.
Hello, this is
Hi.
Linda. I'm from the National Federation of the Blind of Illinois, and I just had a quick question. I learned Braille when I was older in life and everything, and I just was wondering if there's any way that I can get Perkins Brailler through, like, I did borrow one time from Doors, but I'm not sure if they're open or what's going on with them now. And I was just wondering if there's any way to borrow one or get one that's, cheaper to use for writing, because I really didn't learn that much about writing Braille. I know how to use a slate and stylus, but I never practiced a lot.
Casey, do you know the answer to that? How adults could access a Brailler?
If you need it for your work, you could go through Voc Rehab, the Department of Rehabilitation in your state, and they can get you a Brailler. Also, another alternative that I find is I keep a watch on eBay, and lots of times they'll have cheap Braillers on eBay, and I buy them and then I send them off and have them refurbished. And instead of paying like $800, I'll have like $100 invested in a Braille writer. And then I turn around and give it to my kids, my students, for them to have at their home, because a lot of them, the school systems won't purchase one for home and for school, and they have to carry it back and forth. So I just purchase these on eBay, and then I have them refurbished and maintenance done on them, and then I give them to the students for their home use. And then that way it's theirs, they can keep it. So you might want to check places like eBay.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's great. And I know one other quick thing is Perkins does a repair class that you can take. You can actually go to the Perkins School, and they do 2 levels of repair classes if you wanted to be certified in that. You could learn how to, I know in our state we have a deficit of, we have an abundance rather of Perkins brailers that need work. So that's something that they usually send back to Perkins to have repaired. So keep in mind that you could always learn how to repair them as well. And then that can be kind of a side job too for those maybe adults in this group that might be interested in that. There's also the guides if you do have a brailer at home that's finicky, that is yours, and you don't it would be your job to maintain it. You can pull up the maintenance guides online and learn how to clean the brailer. Most of the issues I think are from cleaning, and then maybe getting some replacement parts as well. Those are also available on Perkins' website.
This is Susan. Kerry Burris from South Carolina, from around where the Clemson Tigers are. I'd like to make a suggestion also about that. You could also place that into the Braille monitor, where they for sales of help for wanted area, and if you want someone have one at home, you'll be able to get it that way. And also, I'd like to mention and ask a question. I understand where you were purchasing out of the Braille books from the NFB. I haven't purchased anything from the store there a while, but at one time there was a certain amount that you had to get. I believe it was up to about $50 or more. So for $10, $15, they may not be able to buy those books. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a minimum currently on the independence market. I think listing a brailer locally might be a little bit better than nationally, but resources are available everywhere. It's just kind of knowing where to look.
Sarah, this is Susan.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I just wanted to also mention on that about brailers. We were fortunate to check with our local developmental services here in our county in Colorado. So I don't know if I'm sure several states and counties have budgets available for brailers as well. It's just a matter of looking up your developmental services in your area and applying for services, and then that's how we also were able to get our hands on a brailer. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, that's great
as well.
We got ours through, one of ours is not a Perkins, it's a plastic one, but it was being discarded from our local blind school because it didn't have like a part. So our TVI instructor from when my daughter was like 2 said, I know you guys are going to use this and you can figure it out. It didn't have a backspace button on the top. So we got it for free. So those are available, and just maybe reaching out to the resources that you have close by. I think we're out of time.
Yep, Sarah, I think we're out of time, but I wanted to remind everyone that the game night will start at 4 o'clock, well, 5 o'clock Eastern time. It will start, and it is in room 928-7672-5008. So that's 928-7672-5008 in just a few moments. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to close this out. Have a good evening, everybody.
Likewise.